writes their characters a little bit about what is within themselves, their experiences, their thoughts, their feelings, their likes, their dislikes, their personality, their hobbies, everything. Every character you write has some part of you in it. And what we want to talk about is writing about outside of your box. Push your characters further than where you've taken them now. If you have a set type of character, they always have the same mood, they always have the same likes, the same motivation. Well, let's change it around and write the opposite of what you have done. I've given you guys each a character chart, it's just a basic character chart. These are some of the things that you want to know about your character.
Exactly.
You want to know whether or not they have siblings. You want to know what their hobbies are, their age, education, parents, their background, where they came from, where they're going. You want to know all of that about your character. And when you're writing it, write the opposite. Write the unexpected of yourself and your genre. Every genre has an expected path that the characters take. Romance. What's the expected path for the female? Right? She's somebody who has low self-esteem, possibly. She's somebody who's been hurt in the past by an ex, possibly. And then what's the guy's expected path? He's chauvinistic, maybe. Full of himself, possibly, where she has to pull him back down to earth and realize, oh, this is somebody who's been in there all my life, and I'm just now realizing it.
One of them has commitment issues.
One of them does. And so take that path. You know your genre. You know what that path is because you're probably writing it down. Switch it up. Write the opposite. If it's generally that the female lead is so much full of love, will make her have had daddy issues and she doesn't want to love anybody. You can explore your polar opposite. As we said, your characters are a part of yourself. So what is the opposite of you? If you are a happy, bubbly person, write about the opposite, a depressive person. Research something that you have never done, somewhere you have never been, something that you don't know based on personal experience about, and write about it. But so that way you have to go and do that research. And so that way you know how to write about something that you haven't written before. To pull yourself outside of that box. Outside of that expected path that you yourself have created. By what you know of your expected genre. You can write about what scares you. Because a lot of people don't want to go into that. They want to write about things that are safe, happy, possibly, something that excites them, but not what truly scares you personally. Some people write about the traumas they've had as a child, but do they write about what it is about those traumas that scares them now? You write about your fantasies. Anybody know Ludacris' song? What? What's my fantasy?
What's your fantasy?
It's if you have a fantasy, going back to romance, if you have a Wild West fantasy about chaps and a bar room scene.
A motorcycle rider.
Motorcycle rider. Don't be scared to write about your fantasy, that deep, dark secret, something that you have been too scared to delve into because you haven't wanted to show that part of yourself. Take it further. Let's say you have questions for your character yourself. Write your questions down and answer the questions as if your character was the one answering them. Get to know your character a little bit better with that method, possibly, if that works for you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of avenues, and there's lots of, I was just Googling, pushing my character past the boundary. I was literally just Googling right, left, trying to, and there's blogs, and there's all kinds of websites. There's a character chart that is 9 to 10 pages long. Details. I was gonna print it, but then I was like, no. 10 pages, no. That is on www.epiguide.com.
Okay, spell it again.
epiguide, epiguide.com. Like I said, it's 9 to 10 pages long. You don't have to use every category, but boy, does that chart get in depth. And if you're wanting to know more of your character, that chart's gonna do it. I was looking at that thing for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And what you also see in front of you is 8 simple rules for creating fictional characters. There's just 8 little simple rules that I actually kind of found that they were interesting to me. Make your characters charismatic, their charm, their magnetism, their presence. Make the characters likable. Are they easily liked? Are they pleasing to others, your readers? Make the characters interesting, engaging, exciting. Make the characters both ordinary and extraordinary. Give them aspects where there's no special quality, yet they are still exceptional. That's going to be difficult. Make the characters motivated. How motivated are they to complete whatever task is set for them? Make the characters dynamic, a powerful, forceful presence. Kind of goes in with the charismatic thing. Make the characters good at what they do. That's self-explanatory. Gifted, talented, and what they are, their daily life is, or what their job is, or in Melinda's books, I'm sure somebody is very good at killing evil.
That's how they survived Sunday.
And number 8 is make the characters a little unhappy, sad, maybe they're unlucky in love. Maybe they're unsuitable to what it is they are seeking. One of my characters, I feel like, is too perfect. She may not be, and when I get a beta reader to actually read it, they might tell me, oh, you're just, imagining things, I don't know. But I feel like she's a little too perfect, and I need to give her a couple of steps down, maybe, to make her more relatable.
Yeah.
And she's my main character. So that is something that I feel like would help you in your character development and getting outside of the box that you have created with yourself and the expectations of your genre.
Okay.
All right, Barry.
Okay. We're going to do an exercise. Before we do the exercise, piggybacking on what Kaycee said, and I want to talk about how do we write with a bias, because we all write with our own biases, whether they are direct or some inadvertent bias. And that in itself keeps us within a boundary. I think that one of the true things that we don't embrace fully as writers is that we have the ability to take people in places that they have never been before. And the authors that have done that have been counter to the culture in which they wrote. Shakespeare was counterculture. Mark Twain was counterculture. And so if we want to impact people, it's not enough to just write within the confines of culture. We have to break that. Because we all have our biases, and it's just a human trait. It's not a bad thing, but how do we identify our biases? Just through ordinary things. Again, not picking on romance or anything, but if you got a male character in a romance novel, he's going to be cut and chiseled. He is. Devoid of any other facts about him, you have a physical trait of what you believe this knight in shining armor is.
The genre's expectation.
It's the genre's expectation, but do we have an expectation to move the genre to what romance is? Right. And not romance, and not the framework of how romance should operate, which we all know does not fully exist and keeps people continually reading these novels, looking for something to take something from a book and put it in life, because we say that art imitates life and life imitates art. So how do we move people? What we're going to do here in this exercise, first we're going to take a few minutes and want you to identify some adjectives or some descriptors for what you consider to be an endearing personality trait. I mean, this is just something that you like. This is your own thing. What do you find repulsive?
Oh, good. I can start with that.
Yeah. Then we'll go to lifestyle traits. What are positive lifestyle traits that you like? Or what do you find to be negative lifestyle traits? And then the last one, of course, is physical traits. What do you find attractive and what do you find unattractive or least attractive? And once we do that, then we'll move on to the next part of this exercise. Now that we have developed our list, what we're going to do is we want you to take, if you're going to take one endearing personality, then we need you to connect that with a negative lifestyle trait. Or either a positive lifestyle trait and an unattractive.
Gotcha.
Right. So if you're going to take you're going to either take two endearing, two on the positive side and one on the negative side, or you're going to take two negatives and make one positive.
Gotcha.
And what we want to do is create a character, either a character bio or do a scene. And what I want you to do with that is, let's say you have someone who is judgmental, and I say that that's repulsive. Now I need to write that in a way that makes her more endearing in light of her attractiveness, or or something related to her lifestyle. To kind of to take this person who you see as positive and add this negative to them.
Like a different dimension.
Yeah.
Anybody want to share?
Yes. At first I didn't, but it's kind of funny a little, I guess. Juanita Clark always has the best crabs in town. On game days at FAMU, she normally cooked 3 barrels of crabs and give 10% away to the children at the Boys and Girls Club. She would even drive her car down to Lake Ella and deliver a few crabs to the homeless. Her commitment to the poor is admirable, but the time she got drunk and almost burned her face in 200-degree boiling oil was certainly not cool. Now, Juanita Clark, of course, is no saint. She smoked 2 packs of Marlboro a day because apparently she can't wait to see the good Lord Jesus. However, while Juanita Clark lives her life, she'll always be known for her crabs, at least in the edible kind of way.
The personality trait, endearing, the negative side, and the physical trait. Desmond sails off into the dark night. So stormy a night, and never returned my phone call. However, his bushy salt pepper beard glows in my vision because he's the fire in my life.
Now, for the attractive, I actually just used the word attractive instead of the, because it just didn't go. All right. So charming for the personality trait, which is good, attractive for the physical trait, and then I put atheist for the negative trait. That's just me. I hope I don't offend nobody. That's my life, okay? Lola Dubois is a 37-year-old mother of 2. She's charming and attractive, but her divorce has shaken her faith and caused her to become an atheist. Her giving nature is still a part of who she is, but she's alienating people in her life because of her newfound beliefs. Her husband of 10 years was a pastor who she found out was unfaithful to her for 8 years and has a 5-year-old child. She finds herself starting over in love, friendships, and ostracized from her family because she no longer has a need for faith and feels she'll be better at tackling life on her own without the help of some fictional God that couldn't possibly be real if her life was any indication.
Wow, who you gonna write the rest of it?
Enduring, I put soft-spoken tone, easy language, and polite mannerism. On the negative side, I put like liar, thief. Okay.
You going deep.
Jody was the most intriguing person Philip had ever known. They both were undergraduate students at Hampton University. Seemingly, Jody was quiet and very soft-spoken, but never forced in a position to verbalize his thoughts. Though he dressed well and was known for his award-winning, kind, and loving personality, that Joker could steal venom from a snake without he knew it. It was gone.
John is a considerate, honest, educated man that has no limits to his perversions.
Oh.
When we were out in public, we were the ideal couple. But when we were alone, he was so freakish I couldn't stand him. The last night I came home to him, he had a plastic drop cloth that covered the dining room floor and another drop cloth covering the table. A pot of well-sauced spaghetti had been dumped on the table, and there was John sitting butt naked in the middle of all that spaghetti, smiling $1 million smile. That was the final straw. I left him that night.
Okay, I don't know what to call this, but I chose kindness and giving as endearing personality traits and angry as repulsive. Jack was always helping people. He was born with an extremely overdeveloped giving gene. He'd go out of his way to drive to the other side of the city just to give a homeless alcoholic woman $5 so she could get a burger and a beer. He'd spend hours helping another comedian develop his script at the expense of his own sleep at night, just for the joy of helping another brother succeed on open mic night. He'd buy shoes for someone at work who he noticed had holes in his or her shoes. He'd give a stranger the shirt off his back. He was always helping his brother get out of trouble. And I love that about him. He was always helping others. And he would even help me. He'd rub my feet and cook me dinner if I came home tired from work. His love language was indeed acts of service. However, if you crossed him or didn't agree with something he thought you should do or his way of thinking, he could turn on you in a heartbeat. He'd get angry and judge you immediately as stupid or unappreciative or closed-minded or just plain wrong. And in reality, he was the closed-minded one because he couldn't see beyond his own way of doing things. This would eventually prove to be the demise of our once loving relationship. Eventually, I felt I could not ever disagree with him for fear of him accusing me of being against him. I was supposed to agree with him on everything, or I'd get feedback and told I had an attitude, and that if my attitude didn't change, then we should split, as he often would say. Until one day, I just had to say, in the words of an old song, "Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more."
I can share mine, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So my traits that I was going to utilize, or my negatives, are a smoker and unkept appearance, and the endearingness intellectual. I couldn't get very far. As I turned my head for a better look, I noticed it's Joey from the apartment below mine. With the cloud of smoke that always engulfs his head and dirty, smelly clothes, I always try to pretend I don't see him and quickly walk past. But today just isn't my day. Hey, Amanda, Joey calls out. Hey, Joey, hope you're well, I say, trying to edge towards the street. Read a good book yesterday, he says, ignoring my attempts to pass him. That brought me up short. I didn't know you could read. With the grimace, I try to play that over him. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Yes, you did. You just didn't mean to say it out loud. Joey says with a gruff laugh.
All right.
I didn't get too far into
Yeah.
the intellectual part.
Well, I'm not gonna read mine, I didn't finish mine, but the key to this. The key to, here was the flip side to this, and we, even though we had 30 minutes, but it's something to really take it home, is to take those endearing personalities and make them repulsive. Because see, you wrote to your bias, which was so easy to do. Now the thing is, how do I take what do I consider to be endearing and make it repulsive? Right. I'll take two repulsive things and make them endearing. Because people are multidimensional, and so you can't create a character and say, okay, this character is based on these particular biases that I don't like. Now, how do I make that person endearing? The thing that I look at, two shows that I saw this week that were really great. You talk about Scandal. Scandal, the reason it's successful is Olivia has glaring personality traits, but people love her and they see her beyond those traits. Same thing happened with How to Get Away with Murder. All of a sudden now you see that this person has a past, and so now that you've known about her and now you see a past, what does your feelings say about her past? You know, and so if you're going to take your reader with you, it's not so much as us believing the same thing, it's how do I look at this differently, at this person with multiple personalities, some of which I don't agree with, but I've got to accept them because the person is acceptable. Or how do I take this villain? I mean, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a great example, except that they made it seem like two different people. But how do you take a Dr. Jekyll and make him lovable?
Yeah.
And that is a character that your readers will remember. You know? And so let's take this beyond this. I mean, how do you write a book about an atheist and she never changes her belief, but yet she understands God better? You know, because those are things that people deal with. I mean, I have a couple atheist friends, and our dialogue isn't so much about conversion as it is about understanding God in my life such that you really, at some point you may ask me, and even if you never do, at some point hopefully you'll say, I never believed in God, but maybe I saw God in Pedrick. You know, and because that never ends. And so when you create characters that are big, sometimes those characters transcend the one story that you have. Someone was reading one of my drafts, and they said, I just don't believe this character would do that. And I said, why? You know, it's just that you brought me so far, and I was like, well, but you forgot she was smoking weed back here in chapter 2, and now she's drinking, and he missed that, but her character was so much bigger, and he was like, well, yeah, I guess so. But Eva Brock and I were talking, And Eva had me laughing because I don't know if any of you know Eva, but
I know
Eva writes Christian fiction. And Eva writes these angels that curse. And I was like, cool, because you know what? For me, sometimes God is not talking to me and thus and thou. He's saying, fool. Like, Negro, are you really? Right, yeah. I mean, because God knows how I'm listening. And so, you know, for people not to, you know, somehow get bothered by that, I believe, I'm just a personal believer that God will talk to you in a way that you believe.
You know, they're not only like that about book characters, but about actor characters as well. I remember when Denzel made the movie Training Day, people were just up in arms, how could he? But I was like, and that's the one movie I really wanted to see. And I hated it because Denzel was so awful in it, but it was a good movie.
I mean, but then he began to play characters that had that edge on them, whether or not it was like Training Day, I mean, but out of time.
My books are hardcore Christian. They're straight up biblical. However, I mean, they got bullets on them. You know, you already know that foolishness.
Right.
So this one got really, really gritty. And they were in the underworld of Florida. And you knew the characters cursed, but I didn't use actual curse words. However, the N word did come. Everybody has their own bias. The character, it's unrealistic for you to really believe that character is not going to say that. Like, I'm sorry, that character would so say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I was like, well, it wasn't the Christian character saying that, it was somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, but I think that's good because you force your readers to go beyond themselves.
Yeah. I mean, it's got bullet holes in the cover. What y'all think that was? It's about to get gritty. You know?
But it was good, and I hope it's something that you guys can take out of this.
It's been lovely, guys. I enjoy seeing you guys next time.
Please eat more casserole.
Tanya.